Alright. Welcome to another episode of 5 in 5. This is Johan from DayOne. Today we'll be talking about 5 ways you can keep costs low and not spend unnecessarily as a retailer or an offline business. So, jumping straight into it, point number 1. The first way you can actually keep your costs low is by going green. When you go green, your packaging need not be expensive. Okay, it's wasteful and it's bad for the earth. We all know this. Now, how this translates to you as a business owner is you can decide to actually put up signs to say that you're an advocate of going green, and because of that, you no longer provide plastic bags for patrons of your store after they purchase something. So in different parts of the world, for example in Europe, these kind of measures are already widely adopted. So it's already a norm there for you to either bring your own reusable bag, or for customers to have to pay a bit more just to get a very eco-friendly tote bag, for example, to store the goods that they buy. So this is something that Singapore also in recent years have been adopting slowly but surely. So right now, if you're not doing it yet, you can really consider adopting such an eco-friendly policy in your store, and make sure you have signs on display to allow customers to know that your store is indeed eco-friendly and that they have the option to actually purchase a reusable tote bag, for example, at a small cost. So this way now also on the eco-friendly tote bags, you can actually also sell them for just a small profit margin, and at the same time, this is really a good initiative that you can really begin in your store right now. So moving on to point number 2. Another way you can actually keep your costs low and not spend necessarily as a retailer is by optimizing your shop opening hours. I think this really applies first and foremost to you if you're a F&B business owner, right? There are certain times, for example, that there's just not going to be any crowd in your store. For example, during silent hours like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. typically, right? Or if let's say your store is located in a CBD area, right? In a business district. Usually after dinner time, after office hours, there won't be any patrons in your store anyway. So make sure that you're really optimizing your shop opening hours so that you can save on the costs in having staff there. You don't want to have staff present, working in an empty shop when there's no work for them to do anyway, right? So make sure you're optimizing your shop opening hours. And in this way, you can also not only save on manpower, you save on costs as well. Okay, the next way you can actually optimize your store, keep your costs low, is by having a self-checkout kiosk. Now, when you have a self-checkout kiosk, this will help you obviously save on cashier staff. But not only this, take note that for self-checkout kiosks, there's usually no room for error at all. There's no accounting error that could be made by human accountants. When you're using such technology in your businesses, usually they are already coded in the formulas are already coded into the kiosk itself, so you don't have to risk that kind of accounting error. And not only that, when you have self-checkout kiosks, in this way, this is something that is not new to consumers of today's age, right? People are quite used to actually helping to check out by themselves. So then the staff that were initially running the cashier or manning the cashier can actually be placed elsewhere, or you can also decrease the number of staff you need in your store each day. Now, if you're really wondering whether your store is ready to adopt such a service, such equipment, what I can say from my own experience is that right now there are many shops already, even in Southeast Asia, even in Singapore, that adopt such things. Consumers like myself, like yourself, I'm sure you yourself have used such a service before. So when you introduce these kind of things to the shop, you don't even have to explain anything. Most of the consumers will already know and understand how this works, how it gets done, right? All you have to do is just set up the initial investment in terms of getting such a machine, and also the setup cost that is only at the front end, right? On the back end, you're already saving a lot more on not having to hire staff to man your cashier. Okay, next, moving on to point number 4. The fourth way you can actually lower your costs of your offline business is in having the proper payment gateway. So by knowing which payment gateway is actually the best for you, let's begin first actually with talking about the range of payment gateways that you can accept. The first one, for example, being Visa. There's also GrabPay, there's also PayNow, and there's Nets as well. So these are the different payment gateways that you can actually offer your consumers. A good thing to know right now is that usually for Visa, they actually charge the highest in terms of the commission rate for every transaction that is being made via Visa. So for Visa is at around 2 to 3%, which is really expensive. On the flip side, for example, Nets can go as low as 0.8%. So that's like 3 times more expensive for Visa compared to Nets, and this means more savings for you when you choose the proper payment gateway to be offered to your customers. So these days, consumers already are used to having a great variety of options in terms of how they make their payments, right? So the trick here for you as a business owner is to actually know beforehand which payment gateway is your choice. In other words, the one that has the lowest cost to you. And even though you offer a range of payment gateways that consumers can choose to pay with, you are prominently displaying the payment gateway you want your consumers to make your top choice, right? So for instance, if you want Nets to be the main choice of payment, make sure you display at your cashier that you guys accept Nets payment very prominently. So this way actually you can still meet customers' needs in terms of paying the way they want to pay, but you're actually nudging your customers to choose to pay in the medium that is best for you, which has the lowest cost. So that's one trick you can use. Prominently display the right payment gateway that you want your customers to make payment with, right, at the cashier, at your own cashier. Okay, last but not least, the fifth way you can decrease costs for your business is if you have an online store, make sure you give consumers an option to have an offline pickup of their products. If you're somebody who's selling goods today, there's a lot of options online for you to actually promote your items, right? Lazada, there's Shopee, there's Carousel. But one thing you need to really begin doing is to allow your customers to choose an option where you can actually pick up their products offline. In this instance, you don't have to pay for postage, you don't have to pay for delivery, you don't have to waste time packaging everything up, right, and sending it off. So when you give your customers the option to collect from you offline, not only is this cheaper for you because you don't have to pay for the postage, but when your customers actually meet you, this is also a great way and great opportunity for you to actually display other products that your customers may be able to buy as well, right? So when you have them pick up their item physically, you can also display other products that could be complementary to the item they just bought. So what this does is twofold. Firstly, you save on postage, but secondly as well, when the customer actually comes down to physically collect the item, you can now present other options for them to possibly get them to buy another good, on top of the product they've already purchased. So that's the fifth way you can decrease costs of your business, and that's by offering an offline pickup option if you are promoting your products using an online medium. So with that being said, this is another of DayOne's 5 in 5 series. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is Johan and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.